Supreme Court's going over the first Second Amendment case in a long time. Now, this case evolved from the city of New York City, which is very suppressive to Second Amendment rights. The Supreme Court hearing was a dispute over New York City gun restrictions and has major implication on gun rights nationwide. Typically, the Supreme Court doesn't take on Second Amendment cases lately, but as soon as the Supreme Court took this case, New York City immediately repealed this law and this restrictions on gun rights. What this fight was about was New York City says citizens could only take a gun unloaded and locked to a city gun range and not outside the city limits, and only with a permit to do so. What this essentially means is they're saying you can have a gun in your house only, with a permit only. And then if you want to take it outside your house, you can only take it in a locked case, completely unloaded, to a facility, a gun range within the city limits, and no stops, nothing, or you are considered a felon. As soon as the Supreme Court took the case, New York City, of course, repealed the ordinance, and New York State passed a law prohibiting local governments from enacting similar restrictions. The move was intended so the Supreme Court would stop from looking at the case, which in my opinion shows that New York City absolutely is very aware that they're suppressing the Constitution and your Second Amendment rights. The case is the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus New York City. Gun right activists want this case to move forward, as many other New York City anti-Second Amendment laws still apply. An example of this is New York City saying that the Second Amendment only applies to inside your house. But that absolutely violates the right to keep, which it's okay, it's in your house, but to bear arms, which means that you're taking those arms outside your home. Again, I believe this shows New York City is absolutely aware that they're breaking the Constitution. And even though repealed it, saying you could take your gun outside city limits, even if you could leave the city with your gun, that means no stops along the way or you are a felon. You stop to get gas, you stop to use the restroom or get a bite to eat, you are now considered a felon, regardless of where else you are in the country with that firearm, according to New York City. But my prayer is this case continue to move forward, because this completely violates constitutional carry as well as the ability to possess a gun without a permit. And the Supreme Court will reach a decision in June. I believe that New York City is absolutely suppressing everybody's constitutional rights, and the sooner we can get on with this case, the better, so the rest of the country can just do away with their absolutely unconstitutional Second Amendment restrictions. States like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and California are some of the worst there are, and I believe Virginia is heading that way now, and that's something that we're all fearing. We've also seen a lot of counties in Virginia particularly saying that the state cannot violate their Second Amendment rights and bringing on county ordinances, which I love to see. So I hope this Supreme Court case moves forward. So the Supreme Court is the law of the land. And if they tell you you have the right to keep and bear arms, then it doesn't matter where in the country you are, you have the right to keep and bear arms. But I believe the Constitution says that, and I don't even know why it's even at the Supreme Court anyway. I don't know how states are getting away with this suppression of the Constitution, but somehow they are. So hopefully we'll see this overturned, and we'll just keep an eye on it until June.